Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member Waters. Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Waters, my top priorities for the Financial Services Committee is to respond to the pressing needs of people all over this country who are either poor, working poor, middle class. The fact is, this committee has broad jurisdiction, and I hope that we spend much of our time not only responding to the needs of people who are doing extremely well, but also to respond to the needs of people who are struggling in this land of opportunity. You know, this committee has responsibility to improve living conditions in cities like Ferguson, Missouri, New York City, Cleveland, Ohio, and other parts of our country, including North Minneapolis, where I live. We all have to be and should be concerned about the reemergence of concentrated poverty in our country. In the communities that I'm speaking of, more than 2,000 of them have poverty rates at more than 40%. This committee could do something about that. After falling in the 1990s, these numbers have increased. Nationwide, more than 11 million people live in such high poverty neighborhoods. Of those, more than 5 million qualify as poor. Concentrated poverty is not just a problem for rural communities or inner city communities. As this chart that I've shared with everybody shows, it affects suburban communities as well. In fact, every member of this committee has people in your community who are struggling and in poverty and perhaps working full time. In my own district, the economic downturn and the legacy of redlining has resulted in rampant disinvestment in a number of communities. Communities like the Phillips neighborhood in South Minneapolis, home to Little Earth, which is one of the largest urban American Indian communities in the United States, and the Hawthorne neighborhood in Minneapolis' historically African-American North Side, experienced concentrated poverty exacerbated by lack of jobs, opportunity, and high rents, and the list goes on. These two communities that I just referenced in my own district were also hardest hit by the foreclosure crisis. We know that foreclosure crisis was driven in part by predatory marketing of high-cost subprime loans to people of color and poor whites. We must ensure that these predatory products are stopped. Which congressional committee has a responsibility for responding to these struggling towns and neighborhoods in a holistic way? Which committee has the job to create communities of opportunity? Well, Mr. Chairman, I think this is this committee. This is our committee. And yes, Wall Street has its place in our committee and will command some of our time. Big banks will too. But what about people in this country who believe in the American dream and who just want a chance to get on the ladder? In fact, until last session, the Subcommittee on Housing and Insurance was entitled the Subcommittee on Housing, Insurance, and Community Opportunity. I hope that we restore the words "and community opportunity." I want to assure you, I believe sincerely that the ideological differences between us have nothing to do with where our hearts are or what we care about in terms of helping people. My Republican friends doubt the power of government to make a positive impact in people's lives, and I believe overestimate the power of the private sector to make meaningful changes across our society all the time. I think government can help. I think private sector has an important role to play too. But this doesn't mean there are not a number of serious and important things we can do together. The lines do cross, and we have an opportunity and a responsibility to find where they do and operate to help all Americans, not just the people who really don't need our help and are often found saying, "Get government off my back," until they need a bailout. More than 2.5 million kids in school are homeless. And the crisis in affordable rental housing is at epic proportions. Wages are stagnant, but rent keeps on rising. In fact, apartment rents have risen nationally 23% for 23 straight quarters. Rents are 15% higher than they were in 2009. 11 million families pay more than half their income in rent. For only 1 in 4 families is eligible for housing assistance actually receives it. At the start of last year, every Democrat on this committee sent a letter to the chairman requesting a series of hearings on poverty. Now, Mr. Chairman, I know that not only Democrats care about poverty. I am certain that many Republican members care about poverty too. We might not agree on how to solve it. or how to address it, but we all care about it. So let's get together and figure out what to do about it.
Time of the gentleman has expired.